Today we're talking about a face that, for so many of us, really defined a decade. This was an actor who was just as convincing in the high drama world of Melrose Place as he was on the, bug-infested battlefields of Starship Troopers. We are, of course, talking about the life and the incredible legacy of Patrick Muldoon. For a whole generation, he was just unforgettable. He had this charismatic presence, this really unique blend of charm and intensity that he brought to every single role. And that's why, when the news of his sudden passing broke, it just sent a total shockwave through Hollywood. Fans everywhere were absolutely stunned. And, well, the sad news is this. Patrick Muldoon, who was a really prolific actor and producer, passed away suddenly on April 19th, 2026. He was just 57 years old. So to really understand the weight of this loss, let's just start with the details of his passing. So reports confirm that his death was caused by a heart attack. And, at just 57, his passing leaves a void that is without a doubt going to be deeply felt by the entire entertainment community. Okay, so to really appreciate the impact he had, we have to go back. Let's go back to the 90s, when he just burst onto the scene, and man, he quickly became one of the most recognizable faces on television. He was a California native and a USC Trojan through and through. He even played football for the university. But his real passion, his true passion, was acting. And he didn't waste any time. He quickly landed roles on huge sitcoms like Who's the Boss, and had this really memorable 3-episode run on Saved by the Bell right after he graduated in '91. And his rise was just meteoric. Think about it. In just a few short years, he went from being a recent college grad to a full-blown soap opera heartthrob. He originated the role of Austin Reed on Days of Our Lives back in 1992. And then by '95, he'd already made the jump to primetime, playing the deliciously villainous Richard Hart on that pop culture phenomenon, Melrose Place. But his career? It was about to take a really sharp turn. He went from primetime drama all the way to intergalactic warfare. And it was all thanks to a role in a film that, would become a huge, enduring cult classic. Right. The year was 1997. Director Paul Verhoeven cast Muldoon in his just brilliant and brutal sci-fi satire Starship Troopers. As the ambitious Zander Barcalow, he helped create a character, and a film really, that fans are still debating and dissecting decades later. It's amazing. And what a contrast, right? On one hand, you've got the earnest, heroic Austin Reed. He was the quintessential soap heartthrob. And then on the other, you have the arrogant, ambitious Zander Barcalow. It's just a perfect testament to his incredible range. It really was a defining feature of his whole career. But, there was this whole other side to his career, one that a lot of people might not even be aware of. Muldoon also made a really significant impact behind the camera as a successful and influential producer. Yeah, he had a real passion for independent film, and he helped bring so many powerful stories to the screen. He worked with this incredibly diverse group of acclaimed directors and actors on, everything, from gritty crime thrillers to really deep character-driven dramas. And get this, he was incredibly active right up until the very end. His final producing credit is for the highly anticipated film Cockroach, which stars Chris Hemsworth and Taron Egerton. And that film is still in production right now. So that's the career. But who was the man off screen? Well, to his loved ones, he wasn't Patrick Muldoon, the actor. To them, he was simply Bobo. Music was a huge driving force in his life. He was the charismatic lead singer for a band called the Sleeping Masses. And apparently, he was just rarely seen without his guitar. Friends all remember him as the life of the party, just this magnetic presence who lit up every single room he walked into. His friends described him as endlessly generous. And not just with, material things, but with his poetry, his humor, and just his unmistakable presence. And that generosity, it was all fueled by this incredible energy. The people who knew him best said he embraced each day with a full-tilt rock and roll spirit. What a perfect description of the passion he brought to literally everything he did. And check this out. Here's a final, really powerful testament to his talent. His friend, the filmmaker Michael Steinberg, he shared this recent story. He told Muldoon that none other than Quentin Tarantino had just been on a podcast raving about his performance in the film Deadlock. And Steinberg said Muldoon was just absolutely overjoyed to hear that. So he leaves behind this really impressive body of work, and that includes a final film performance in the upcoming thriller Dirty Hands. But more importantly, so much more importantly, he leaves behind his partner, Miriam, his parents, his sister Shauna, and his beloved niece and nephew, Halo and Arrow. So as we look back on his incredible journey, I mean, from soap opera heartthrob to sci-fi icon to this respected producer, we're kind of left with a question, aren't we? For a man who lived so fully and gave so much, how do we best honor a life lived with such a true rock and roll spirit?